Okay, did I discuss about the debug and log file both options on in the last session? Guys, did you remember? Day before yesterday.
There was a disturbance while you were explaining. We can't able to hear your voice properly.
Okay, fine. So the AND options is a feature in AND where you can get a debug build out of from AND. Okay, but you might be thinking, what is debug build? Okay, a debug build is something like look at this program, some program. Okay, if a developer wants to uh, debug this program, debug nothing but diagnose the program, how it is working and all. So what he'll be doing it, he will print the values in your program like a number of times. Okay, each and every value. Then he will be knowing whether it is executing it properly, okay, whether the statements are defined properly. That's how you can get the data. So ultimately, in a layman language, debug mode nothing but detailed output on console. Okay, right, that is what the debug mode. And what do you mean by release mode is required output on console. So what exactly required output is? Suppose you are end user nothing but customer or tester, whoever it is. For you it doesn't matter what all the things you printed. For you the matters is the ultimate output of the program, which is the last line, the output of whatever exactly you're trying to deliver it. Okay, so if that is the case, okay, if that is the case in AND script, okay, especially in any of the AND, how exactly the programs will be executed. Okay, so the default AND supports release mode. Okay, if you try to run any of the AND script, it runs in a release mode. Let's see how it runs. I can just walk you through with that and practice. Just say AND. Okay, so the default, okay, there is nothing default script. AND -f build underscore adv.xml. There is, let me see, do we have anything else? Okay guys, there is some script is there, or we can do one thing, we can get into a project. So look at this, it is building in a release mode. Okay, how I'm saying it now, it is printing only the required output on your console. Suppose if you wanted to build it in a debug mode, okay, look at the output of the release mode and look at the output of the debug mode. Can you see such a detailed output? Everything it is printing. Okay, so you may not require all this info, okay, especially when you're trying to build it, but it all depends on your requirement. Suppose a developer wants to debug a code, okay, he says it is building successfully on his machine, and when it comes to the build machine, it is failing or throwing some error. So he might ask you some build console output, the debug output. So you need to run it in a debug and give it to him. So now if he asks this output in a file, right, okay, copying this file from a command prompt is really a tough job. Like you have to select like this, okay, and copy and send it. Instead of that, okay, what you can do it, you can make use of an option called -log file equal to log.txt. If you do this, what will happen? It will not print anything on the console, but it will redirect entire your output to the log.txt. So just go there and check it out and practice and project. Did you see this log.txt? It contains your entire console output. Okay, so these are the two important options. So not only them, if you really get some time, like you explore the rest of options, like there are many are there, and hyphen you just say and -h or help, anything is fine. So we are already seen the -f. Okay, the build file are the other same things actually. So can you see this here, use given build file? So you can make use of any one of it, because we are the typically we are the lazy guys, we wanted to have some shortcuts. So that's the reason I always use the -f. You can type -file build file as well, there is no harm in it. Okay, and -d we used to provide the property values, if you remember, key equal to value format. And similarly log file just now we have seen, and debug we have seen. So there are a few more out there. If you get a chance, just look into it, but whatever I explained are the important options you might be using it in your day-to-day life. Okay, so with this we are pretty much done with the AND stuff, guys. Okay, there is nothing else left. Only thing is you just start to practice the external task and Java related task and web application task. Okay, if you could able to practice all those things, right, that's more than enough with the AND. Okay, and yeah, the next topic of after AND, okay, it's not about the AND, build process automation. Okay, so I said we have multiple set of responsibilities for a DevOps guy or a build engineer or release engineer, who's recall. As part of him, we need to take care of the VCS systems. We need to take care of our build systems. Okay, especially when you're taking care of the build systems. Okay, in the market, right, the most of the people are using and Maven are the two tools to automate their build process. Okay, so the Ant is the first tool came into the market or industry to automate the stuff. Okay, then after that, okay, as the days going on, the technologies keep changing. Okay, so industries keep growing in a towards a standardized way. Okay, where multiple tools, technologies coming into the pictures. Among them, Maven is the one which will give you a nice standard approach for the build process automation compared to Ant. Okay, see, ultimately both does the same job, build process automation, right? So Maven is the one. Did I wrote anywhere about that? Okay, yeah, and I was talking about, right? So and we are done. So Maven is the one which supports a standardized way of uh, build process automation. Okay, what exactly a standardized way and all we'll see now. Okay, so Maven, right? This is simply a build process automation tool, just like an ant. Okay, you remember you learned SVN and Git, right? Both does the same job. Now when it comes to the Maven, right, we'll go a little bit faster because we have a background of our ant and what exactly a build process, everything. So we know the thorough introduction about it. So I know to explain you what do you mean by Java file, binary file, what is the compilation. Okay, all these things I know to explain to you. I can directly get into the Maven and tell you why Maven is introduced. Okay, why can't we use ant for the thing? Okay, what is the difference between ant and the Maven? What kind of a benefits we have it in the Maven compared to ant? So all these things we'll see, so that you can differentiate both the tools. Okay, guys, nobody is reminded me. Am I recording this? Yep, sorry, I'm recording it. Okay, so first and foremost, okay, we'll talk about some issues about the ant. Okay, that those issues will become advantages in the Maven, right? So the first and foremost is not having standard directory structure. This is the most important one. The thing is, if you're thinking about automating a build process in Ant, right, you don't require any standard build follow structure for your source code. It can be anything. Okay, you can say it can be source. Okay, it can be output, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can have any kind of follow structure, right? So still, I mean, which are the follow structure you have it, you can automate with the help of the ant. Okay, but the thing is, ultimately when your project is growing, you have hundreds of projects. Okay, each and everybody is following their own convention, their own source code directory name, their own build directory name. So it is really tough for somebody to integrate all those modules into a single project. Okay, so and if some changes happens to a folder, right, they need to update the scripts like anything, right? That's a big problem actually. So there will be maintenance problem. See, for temporarily you can run it, but the thing is, if you don't have a standard directory structure, it's going to be a big pain for the build engineer or a DevOps guy who needs to update the scripts. Okay, that's the first one. And the second thing is uh, so much of scripting. Okay, so much of scripting. Why so much of scripting? Everything you need to write in a form of instruction. Okay, every action you need to define. You need to define in ant. Okay, and the third thing, libraries are part of source code. Okay, what do you mean by this? Is you remember your web application build? Where is my web app? Lead app. Okay, you look at the this lead app. What is the source code size, guys? 43 K, size is 43 KB. Okay. Now, what is your library size? Your libraries will be there somewhere around here. Yeah, lib folder. What is your library size? 5.75 MB. Where is your 45 KB? Where is your 5.75 MB? So to build it with Ant, right, you want your libraries and your source code, everything together. Libraries are part of source code. Okay. So nothing but the code base size is keep growing. Okay. And becomes huge to maintain in VCS systems. Nothing but especially the VCS version control system, they are only for the code base, okay, not for the binary files. The libraries are the binary files, so you're not supposed to maintain them in the version control system. But if you use Ant, right, you have to maintain all your libraries as part of your source code. Okay, so that's another pain point, like, developers needs to maintain their own versions of the libraries. Again, if you maintain your libraries in your source code, right, think about that three modules are there. Okay, three modules requires the same library, and different people use the different version of the library. Okay, and they commit it to the code base, and when you try to integrate that project, right, there will be some version conflicts of the library. That's really dangerous one. Okay, so this is another problem with your uh, Ant. Okay, so the three important things are the not having a directory structure, okay, standard directory structure, and it having a lot of coding, and it contains the libraries as part of it. Okay, and there one more is there. What is it? Just a second, guys. I have some my own notes. Let me check it out. Installation. No, not this. Just now I downloaded it. Yeah, material. Maven my doc. Yeah, copy this and go back to my DevOps folder. Maven. Where is Maven? Paste this. Okay. Yeah, I was talking about yeah, sequence. That's another important one. Okay, there is no sequence of execution defined in Ant. Okay, so if you remember, the Ant targets concepts. Okay, so you define the flow. Actually, your Ant did not define any flow to execute, like, line by line and all. Okay, everything you need to define. This is really painful activity in case if you have, like, 200 targets. Okay, for 200 targets, you have to define the sequence of execution, like, first what, second what, third what, everything you need to define. So ultimately, with this all disadvantages, right, it is going to be, like, really painful for anybody to maintain those Ant scripts. Okay, so the maintainability, or you can say reliability of Ant build script is going to be a big problem. Okay, so that's the most important thing. So the maintainability is really tough of these Ant scripts and all, and ongoing people needs to keep updated. Okay, and there should be somebody, like, dedicated person to, like, take care of all these things. So there's so many, I mean, these kind of issues will be there, but typically in an industry, right, if you're writing any script and thing, but that's it. Okay, you shouldn't touch it. So if that is the case, okay, if you make use of the Ant, right, it's not going to work out. Okay, so to avoid all these problems, okay, industry wants something like, standard nothing but example, guys. I would say uh, any real-time example, uh, yeah, passports. Okay, I hope you know the passports, right? Okay, you look at any country's passports, the size of the passport is same. Okay, that's a standard. You got my point. Okay, think about, like, if every country, they like, they're having their own defined size of the passports and all. Okay, you don't call it as a standard. It's really difficult for somebody to, like, process them with respect to their own countries stamps or visas or whatever, right? So I'm just trying to give an example where if you follow the standard, what will happen? If you don't follow the standard, what will happen? Okay, so Ant is something like not following the standard, but we are automating it. Okay, but Maven is something like automating with standard, so that in a long term way you don't have to much worry about it and you don't have to change anything in your scripts and all. Okay, the most important thing is not many changes you need to do to your Maven scripts. Okay, so though that is going to be the advantages. So what exactly the Maven advantage if you compare with the Ant, right? Let me write down one by one, otherwise I can just get all these things into our notes. Okay, so Ant versus Maven. Actions are defined in Ant. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, actions are defined in Ant, nothing but you have to define the uh, Ant execution flow. But in Maven, right, you just say what you want. Okay, the actions, everything is taken care by your Maven. You might be thinking how Maven will take care of it. That's the reason, Maven is special than compared to the Ant. Okay, so I'll give you an example to you. See, I'll ask you to uh, get some cookies. Okay, think about you're sitting beside me. I ask you to get some cookies to you. Okay, if I ask this question, right, okay, if you are and, okay, then you will be asking me something like which shop I need to go, how do I go, okay, when do I go, all these questions you ask, right? And that is something like an and. Okay, the Maven is, if I ask some cookies, right, you just bring the cookies and give it to me. How you went it and in which shop you got it, everything is hidden and that is taken care of by the Maven. Okay, that's what the second one. Okay, so the Maven is something which will give you a benefit of not to write anything about what you do it in the background. Everything is taken care by your Maven tool. Okay, next, sequence is defined in and. Okay, yeah, when it comes same thing guys, actions and sequence is not, action is nothing but what you want to do it, sequence is nothing but when do you want to do it and what exactly the sequence. Okay, suppose if I ask you to bring the cookies, right, you immediately don't go to the shop just by flying. Okay, you have to take a vehicle and all. Okay, that's something treated like a sequence. You have to first go to some place and get in a vehicle and go there and get it. So the entire sequence you need to define an ant. But when it comes to Maven, the sequence by default, the Maven lifecycle will take care of it. What is Maven build lifecycle and all, we'll see it later. But right now try to understand the entire sequence is taken care by your Maven lifecycle, Maven build lifecycle. And when it comes to and, no default directory layout. So I told you this in the disadvantage of the and. No standard directory structure, nothing but there is nothing like a standard directory structure available for and. Okay, but when it comes to Maven, Maven is enforcing you should have a standard directory structure. Then only you can implement the Maven scripts on your source code. Otherwise, you cannot implement. It's something like a disciplinary. Okay, see, let me give you another example. You're going to a school. Okay, so if you look at in the school, right, every student wears the same uniform, same color shirt, same color trouser and all, right? So that's a kind of a Maven thing. And if you look at a college, you see different people with the different civil dresses and all. That's kind of an ant. So that's what I'm trying to say, if you have this kind of a standard directory structure, right, okay, which it will be really easy for you to traverse between the modules and all. Tomorrow, okay, what happens with respect to the Maven, if you wanted to change the output directory, okay, right, if you give a standard one name, right, across all the modules you can give the same name. Okay, if you want to change the version, you can give the same version, but when it comes to and, everywhere you need to modify that. Okay, but still Maven won't support any other directory structures apart from the predefined. So there is a predefined directory structure available. I'll try to explain you that later. Okay, so but I'll try to understand Maven is standardizing the things. Okay, it expects a standard structure. That's it. If you try to violate the structure, it will not work. Okay, ant can follow you. See, ant is something it bends whatever the way you want. Okay, you can bend the ant like anything. That's how we can make use of the ant. But when it comes to the Maven, you need to listen to the Maven. So you need to follow the Maven. So if somebody asks, is one line difference between both the tools, you can tell them. Okay, I don't want any other differences, just tell me in one line. You can just say ant can follow you, but you have to follow the Maven. Okay, so it's simple guys. If you if something is following you, right, you nothing but it can be n number of people. Okay, if a tool is following a number of people, the tool can be bended like n number of ways, right? And when it comes to this statement, you need to follow Maven. So Maven is only one tool, but n number of people are following this nothing but, see, tomorrow like there are 1,000 developers across the world. Okay, whosoever is writing the Maven script, it's absolutely same. There is no difference at all. Okay, there is nothing like a beginner script, middleman script or expert script. Okay, whosoever writes the Maven script, they should be able to understand, and it's pretty easy actually. And there is no other like acronyms, any complex syntaxes and all. Okay, because everybody does the same job. But when it comes to Android, it's people's wish. They can write it on their own like complex, their own complexity. They can write like a beginner, they can write like an expert. It's up to them. Okay, so that is all up to like only for that temporarily, like how good you write and all for temporarily. But when it comes to the long term, right, you 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 need to write a script such a way that somebody should be able to understand. Okay, so when you use the Maven, right, it's a default like if you use the Maven standard flow. Okay, it's across everywhere in the world. Wherever you go, who's are using Maven, they have to follow the same. Okay, there's no other way to like deviate the Maven structure and all, right? So these are some general differences. Okay, so once we get into the technical stuff, then you will be understanding like how exactly we are achieving the Maven. Okay, now what next? Okay, so let me give you some introduction about the Maven. So Maven is from Apache. Okay, they developed on top of Ant. Okay, on top of Ant. And one more thing here, I forgot the difference. uh, libraries are part of source. In Maven, libraries are not part of source code. Okay, so if you look at this, this was the difference I already explained to you. Libraries are part of source code. So in your Ant project structure, you have to maintain the libraries, but in Maven it's not required. And you might be thinking, without libraries, how the code will be compiled? That is taken care by your Maven lifecycle. Okay, so for everything I'm giving a solution called Maven lifecycle. Here also Maven lifecycle, here also Maven lifecycle. Okay, and actions also how it does, it's again a Maven lifecycle. So what exactly Maven lifecycle, we'll see. Okay, so this is from Apache organization. Okay, and the prerequisite will be you must and should have a JDK installed, just like in Ant. There is no other way. And let's try to download and install this, guys. Okay, so to download that, download Maven. Okay, download this bin one. Okay, not tar one, guys, the bin one. Okay, download. Is it still doing? Okay, okay, take the bin, Control X, go back, paste it here, and same concept, how to set up your Maven. Extract that. Okay, and take the path, bin path, go to your my computer. Okay, properties, advanced system settings, environment variables, path variable. Okay, go to the end, semicolon, paste it. Okay, guys, apart from that, you need to do one more thing. You need to define your map m2 home, guys. This variable you need to create m2 home, and the variable path you need to give it as like up to your Maven directory location, not the bin. Okay, now I given that as well. Okay, okay. Now once it is done, open a new command prompt and try to type mvn-version. Can you see this? Maven 3.3.9, that's what we downloaded, right? Am I right? Is it 3.3.9? Yeah, 3.3.9. That's it. We set up the Maven successfully. No issues at all. Okay. So that's what the installation. Pretty quick. Installation is done. Next. Now we need to understand what exactly the Maven lifecycle. Okay, that's the most important one. And before that, it's another build tool. Only thing is you have to write it, your instruction in a script. Okay, and this is again an XML based language, guys. Okay, same like an add. Okay, only thing is the script name by default we call it as a POM. Okay, POM.xml. In add we call it as a build.xml. So when you write, see, if you want, you can just check it out. MEN. It looks for the POM.xml. Actually, it says it failure. Actually, there is no POM.xml over here. You can look at the log here. Nothing out there here. Okay, they'll keep changing, but actually you would need a POM.xml to run your Maven command. Okay, without that you cannot do it. Okay, so POM nothing but project object model. That's what the abbreviation of the POM. So the default script which Maven expects is the POM. Okay, and it's XML format one. So you have to write something like MVN. No need to provide the .xml file name. By default, wherever you're running this command, the file should be existing over there. Right now, it is not there here. Okay, you can just check it out. We don't find any .xml over here. Right. Next, life cycle. This is most important one. Life cycle. Okay. So typically, if you look at any Java application build life cycle. Okay. So you have a source code. Okay, that you give it for compilation. Okay, and then after that you give it for packaging. Okay, then after that you execute it. Right, this is what you have seen it in the AND. Okay, but you know what, even apart from compiling, packaging, there is one more thing called unit test. Okay, so unit test is another important concept we didn't discuss in the AND session, because anyway we're going to discuss over here. Okay, unit tests is another important concept. What exactly unit test is? Whosoever the developers, okay, whether he is a Java developer, .NET or C++, okay, as per the test-driven development strategy. Nowadays, everybody is doing the TDD, test-driven development. TDD nothing but test-driven development. Okay. So what exactly test-driven development is? Suppose somebody is writing some code called addition code, some simple example addition code, guys. Okay. So what exactly this will do it? Return a plus b. Okay, now you are using a function called 10 comma 20, right? You got my point. Okay, x equal to this and print x. Guys, what exactly this program will print? Okay, this will print 30 as a value. Am I right? A simple program. Okay, now what is happening, in a test driven development, it is a developer responsibility to write a unit test for his own code. Okay, he needs to write some unit test code. Suppose this program name is add.java. Okay, he need to write another program. Okay, and that program name will be add-test.java. So in this add-test.java, he will test his own code by doing like this. If, okay, add of 2 comma minus 3, okay, equal to minus 1, then print test pass. Guys, this is one unit test. Again, you will write one more unit test like this. Okay, if add 2 comma 0 is not equal to 2, okay, is not equal to 0, right, test pass. These are another test case. So he can see what ultimately he's trying to do it, the QA engineer, whatever the test, he do it with his functional testing, right? Like you open a browser and you enter something and you test it, right? The same stuff with programmatically this guy is doing it, and these tests we call it as a unit test. Okay, and if a developer is writing the source code for his own code and source code for the unit test as well, right? And this type of development we call as a test driven development. Nowadays most of the people do the TDD driven development, test driven development. Okay, so if that is the case, your source code now contains even the test Java files. Okay, unit test Java files. Now if that is the case, what exactly our flow now? Okay, let's see the flow of our build process with unit test. Okay, source code. Okay, first source code. Okay, now this source code contains your application code and unit test, both of them. Okay, now compile first, compile application code. Okay, the next compile unit test. Okay, then next first you compile application, then you compile unit test. Okay, then run unit test. Okay, you have to see, compiling the unit test doesn't mean like executing it, guys. Okay, you have to run this unit test to see whether they are successful or not. Okay, so then only you would say your test case are successful and your code is absolutely good. Then after you complete that, then enter into the package. Okay, then you run or whatever you do it. Okay, this is what a build process flow for an application which is having the unit test. Okay, and your Maven absolutely supports a project with unit test cases. Okay, it doesn't mean like it won't support a project without unit test cases, but the Maven lifecycle supports the a project with the unit test for sure. Okay, now what exactly Maven lifecycle? Okay, so in Maven lifecycle there are three life cycles. Okay, so one is default life cycle. Okay, and second is uh, clean, and the third is site. And among these three life cycle, the default one is the most important, and that will have the most of the workflow stuff actually. Okay, so in the default life cycle it has some phases. Okay, so it's something like a life cycle, nothing but treat it entire project, and phases nothing but each and every state, guys. Okay, like requirement, blah blah blah, and also don't compare with that. I'm just trying to give an example. Okay, so a life cycle is having a certain set of phases. Okay, and the default life cycle has these set of phases. The first one is called verify. I think it is validate. Okay, validate is the first phase, and second is the compile. Okay, and third is the test compile. Okay, and the fourth is the test. Okay, and fifth is the package. Okay, and sixth is the install, and seventh is the deploy. So these are the important 7 phases in your Maven default lifecycle. I'll explain you one by one what exactly each and every phase will do it. Okay, so if you have a standard directory structured Maven project, okay, so now you might be thinking, what is the standard directory structure of a Maven project? Okay, so the directory structure of a Maven project, okay, so what exactly the directory? Suppose this is what your project. So inside your project, your source code should be there inside SRC. Okay, inside the main. This is important, guys. Okay, and if you have unit test, it should be there inside the test. Okay, and if you have any web content one, it should be there inside the web content folder. Okay, not libraries and all, right? So entire stuff will be there inside SRC folder only. Okay, now once your build is done, your binaries will be created under the target folder, and the target folder is strictly defined. You can't change it. It's defined by your Maven itself. Okay, so inside the target you will get all the classes, blah blah blah, everything like whatever you will get a class files, you'll get the libraries, you'll get the packaged web content folder, jar file, war file, everything. So whatever the output, you will get it in the target. Whatever the input should be there inside the SRC. This is a standard data structure. You cannot deviate from this structure, guys. Okay, so fine. Now come back to the phases. Okay, what exactly a validate phase will do it? This will check for any dependencies. Okay, now you need to understand what do you mean by dependency. Okay, so I said Maven doesn't keep libraries within the source code. Assume like here I don't have the libraries. Okay, if I don't have the libraries, right, so how my code is going to compile? So what will happen, in your entire Maven source code directory structure, your pom.xml will be parallel to your SRC and target, guys. Okay, so in your pom.xml you will define what all the libraries, okay, needs to be there to compile my code. So you will just mention the library names. Okay, like I need jinit.jar file name. Okay, I need jn.jar library. Okay, but the jn.jar you will not be having it in your source code. So your format XML, you write a reference. Now your Maven lifecycle validate phase, what exactly it will do? It will check for any dependencies. Yes, it has a dependency jn.jar, right? So then it downloads, okay, and keeps it in your local repo. I'll explain you what is local repo, but treat it like, it will download your jar file and keep it in your machine, your laptop or desktop, whatever it is. Okay, right, that's the first step. So now once you have the libraries within your machine, right? Okay, compiling would be like, nothing. Compile the source code. Now this is what you are compiling the source code, just like, your application code, and this is, as I told you, this compiles your unit test. Compile unit test. And again, this is like, execution of unit test. If you run the test, MVN test, it executes the unit test. And again, package, this prepares jar or var, whatever the format. See, you might be thinking, who will define whether it is a jar or a var? See, in format XML you will mention whether you want to prepare a jar or a var. You got my point. So typically, if you look at the differences in Maven, right, you say what do you want? You want jar, or you want some jar? You just say everything in the format XML. How to build, how to download, how to get, how to process, everything is taken care by your Maven. Okay, so it prepares a jar or var. Next, install and deploy, I'll talk about later. First of all, let me give you a brief understanding of, like, how these phases works by practically taking an example. Okay, so to take an example, I would need a Maven directory structure based project. Okay, so I want this kind of a project now with me to give a demonstration of my Maven thing. So for that, you know, to download something from internet and all, there is a MVN archetype. There is a option called archetype. What exactly archetype is? Maven will support almost 1300 to 1400 format directory structures. Okay, so with the help of the Maven archetype, you can create a sample standard application folder structure or standard application directory structure. Okay, within your machine. So let's try to do that. Okay, I have an example for that. Archetype. Where are you? Yeah, archetype generate. MVN archetype generate. So first time it downloads n number of libraries, guys. Don't worry about it. It takes some time as well. So the Apache default won't, the Apache installer, whatever you download, default won't contains all the libraries. So it downloads from the Apache Maven repository. Okay, so it takes some time in the beginning. So generating a project, can you see that? So it is supporting almost 72 types of projects. Okay, so choose a number or filter. Okay, I want to have choose number 6. Okay, just go with the 6. Okay, what is a group ID? Group, okay, I'll explain you these things later. Let me give some dummy values, guys. Com dot my company artifact ID hello world. Yes. Yeah, that's it. So it is created a project in my location called Maven practice. Where is it, guys? Oh, sorry, I ran it in this location. Let me copy it from there. C users. Hello world. Okay, so this hello world is what my project, it is created. Just paste it here. Now go back to your DevOps Maven practice. Okay, get into hello world. Look at this, guys. When you create a structure, right, what is the source folder it is created? SRC, and parallel to that you have format XML. Okay, and inside SRC, can you see main and can you see test? Main contains your main code. Okay, so main Java com my company and app.java. Okay, And similarly, if you come back to the source, you will be having a test, okay, and Java, com, my company, app test. Okay, so a sample hello world is created, proper Maven based structure it is. Okay, now let's try to build this. Okay, MVN, guys, look at this MVN. And before doing that, let me try to open this format XML and see if there is any dependencies. Okay, I'll explain this entire XML later, but try to understand. There is a tag called dependencies. It requires JUnit jar file actually. Okay, so when you do MVN validate, okay, that will download the JUnit one actually. It seems okay in my machine it is already there, guys, because I would already run this many times, so I can show you where exactly it will download. C users, my username, there is a folder called .m2. So typically it will be inside a folder called .m2, and that will be there inside users your user location. Okay, repository Jane, what is it? Yeah, JUnit. So it's already there. If I try to delete this, right, I'm just deleting it, like, just thinking about from your end. So your end, you don't have any kind of these files and all. Now you try to run the validate phase. It tries to download from the internet. Is it downloaded? No. Verify. Sorry guys, it's not validate, it is verify. Okay, let me correct that. Verify. Okay, I was confused a bit. Validate or verify. So now this should download. What is org? Sorry, come back. Can you see JUnit? It's downloaded. Okay, so you can find the jar inside here. 382. Which are the version? 382 is 381. Both are downloaded. But which one is defined over here? 381. So just check it out. 381 is there here. 381 jar is downloaded. Okay, so that's the first phase. And next phase is compile. Okay, just run the compile. This will successfully compile your code, and once it is compiled, you can find your class files, DevOps MVN practice. Okay, hello world. Can you see it is created a target folder? Inside that you can find classes. Okay, com, my company, app.class. So that's about the compiling. And next phase, test. Okay, so guys, if you try, okay, in Maven lifecycle, right, in this phases, okay, if you try to run any of the phase, okay, all the prior phases will be executed. Okay, any phase will execute all the prior phases. Okay, prior phases nothing but, suppose if I try to execute the test, right, look at this, it will do the compile again. It will compile your source code, it will compile your unit test, everything it will do. It will perform the validate, and finally it is performing the test. Okay, so there is only one test is there which is successfully executed. Okay, now MVN package. What exactly package? See, when I run the package, right, again it performs the test, because package is after test. So when I run the package, it performs verify, compile, test, and package. Just do this. Just look at this. It is performing test also, and it is performing the packaging as well. Okay, so it prepares a package, and you can find a jar file over here somewhere. Target. Can you find this, guys? Jar file. This is what your output of your build process. Okay, so till package, it's a typical flow which you have seen in your Ant also. Okay, and the same thing over there in Maven as well. Okay, now I need to explain you what exactly this format XML contains. Okay, and what are the other set of where is it? What are the other set of these two important phases, and what is clean, what is site? All these things we'll see it in a tomorrow session. Right? I'll just stop it today. We'll continue this tomorrow. It will be a bit interesting. There won't be much coding, guys. Everything is automated. Can you see this? This entire code we didn't write. Okay, it's automatic generated. So most of the stuff we generated automatically. Okay. So less coding, more standards, okay, more about the concepts, and like you need to understand like what exactly this concept, which phase will come when, okay, what is the life cycle. If you understand the concept, right, that's it. Wherever you go, it's same thing applies. In order to write, in order to remember such a bulky attributes and tasks and all like in Ant, okay, you just try to remember all these phases. That's more than enough. Okay, your Maven will take care of the rest of stuff. Okay, how it is doing in the backend, we shouldn't say that. That's what Maven. Okay, so any questions still here, all of you guys? Any questions with respect to Maven?
No.
Kiran?
No.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. We'll catch up tomorrow then. Okay. See you.
I had a question.
Yeah. Sure.
I had a doubt.
Yes.
I'm practicing the subversion.
Okay.
The server is running, the Linux server is running,
Okay.
but I am trying to access it from the browser. It is showing that the connection is refused
Okay. So
to
if it,
connect to the
yeah, if it is
server.
really running, right? Did you see the status? Like there is something
Yes,
called,
yes.
yeah, the status is running, right? On which port number it is running?
Yes.
Did you get the port number on your browser?
Yes, I typed the port number
Okay.
with the IP address.
Okay. Would you do me a favor? Okay. So what exactly you're supposed to do? There is, see, what I'll try to explain your case. Suppose this is your local machine, okay, and assume like this box is your server, this Linux server, okay. You're trying to execute from your machine, so there might be some firewall might be blocking to connect this, okay, from your SVN Linux machine to your machine. So what you do it, turn off your firewall, okay, in your machine, okay. And one more thing is, when you able to open this Linux machine in a putty, because putty also you try to,
Yes, yes.
so
Yes,
putty
yes.
you're opening nothing but the 22 port is open, okay. Now SVN
Yes.
typically runs on the port number 8080. So what you do it, try to check 8080 port with the help of a telnet command from Windows. So telnet default won't be there in your Windows. Try to install the telnet for Windows, okay. Then check telnet space the IP address of your Linux machine, okay, Linux IP, and 8080. Check whether it works or not, okay. Or before that, what you do it, within this Linux machine, okay, try to check wget command and your HTTP, okay, say localhost, okay, colon 8080, right. There might be some option for your wget. It will give you a response of 200 HTTP. What is 200 is success. If it throws 404, refusing it, okay. Check within your machine first, within your Linux machine. You got my point? Okay, so that's how you debug it. Because you are saying it is connection refused and server is running. If server is running, you should be able to connect. If you're not connecting nothing but something problem with the network within your VM and your laptop. You got my point? Yeah, try to debug in that way. If it is still not working, just send me the screenshot what exactly you see and come in TeamViewer possible tomorrow. Okay, I'll try to sort it out.
Okay. Okay.